The sun beat down on tired backs. The Israelites, God's chosen people, were slaves in Egypt. They built giant buildings for Pharaoh, their cruel ruler. Every day was filled with pain and fear. They cried out to God, "When will our suffering end?" The memory of their ancestors, of God's promise of a land flowing with milk and honey, seemed lost. Hope was a flickering candle in the wind, yet even in the darkest night, God heard their prayers. He saw their tears. He had a plan. Jochebed, an Israelite woman, held her baby boy. He was beautiful, but danger surrounded him. Pharaoh had ordered all baby boys to be thrown into the Nile River. Jochebed couldn't let that happen. She made a basket, waterproofed it, and placed her baby inside. With a prayer, she set the basket afloat in the Nile. Her daughter Miriam watched from afar. Little did they know this baby would one day change everything. He would be called Moses. Pharaoh's daughter found the basket. Inside she discovered the baby. She felt compassion for him and decided to adopt him. Miriam, watching, approached and offered to find a Hebrew woman to nurse the child. The princess agreed. Moses grew up in Pharaoh's palace. He lived a life of luxury, but he never forgot his roots. He knew he was different. He felt the pain of his people. One day Moses saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew slave. Anger filled him. He couldn't stand the sight of his people being mistreated any longer. The injustice was too much to bear. He struck down the Egyptian in a fit of rage, unable to control his emotions. Now, Moses was a fugitive. Fear and regret filled his heart as he realized the gravity of his actions. He fled to the land of Midian, seeking refuge and a new beginning. There he became a shepherd. Years passed, and he found a simple, peaceful life tending to his flock. One day, while tending his flock, Moses saw a strange sight. A bush that burned but was not consumed. It was a miraculous and bewildering sight. Then he heard a voice. It was God speaking to him from the flames. God said, "Moses, I have seen the suffering of my people. Their cries have reached me. I have chosen you to lead them out of Egypt to the promised land." Moses was afraid, overwhelmed by the enormity of the task. "Who am I to do this?" he asked, doubting his own abilities and worthiness. God said, "I will be with you." With this divine assurance, Moses felt a newfound determination and courage. Section 5. Let my people go. Moses returned to Egypt. He stood before Pharaoh, the ruler of the land, in the grand and opulent throne room. The air was thick with tension as Moses, with unwavering determination, faced the mighty Pharaoh. "Let my people go," he said with a voice that echoed through the hall. Pharaoh laughed, a dismissive and mocking sound that resonated with arrogance. "Who are you to command me?" he scoffed, his eyes filled with disdain and disbelief at Moses' audacity. In response, God sent 10 devastating plagues upon Egypt, each more severe than the last. Frogs, locusts, hail, and darkness covered the land, bringing chaos and despair to the people of Egypt. Still Pharaoh, with his heart hardened, refused to listen to the warnings and pleas. Finally, God sent the most terrible plague, the death of every firstborn son, a tragedy that struck every household in Egypt. Only the Israelites, who marked their doors with lamb's blood, were spared from this final devastating blow. Pharaoh, devastated by the loss of his own son, finally relented, his spirit broken and his heart filled with sorrow. "Go," he said with a heavy heart. "Leave my land." And so the Israelites began their journey to freedom, leaving behind the land of their oppression. Section 6. Walls of Water. The Israelites fled Egypt with Moses leading the way, but Pharaoh, his heart hardened again, pursued them with his army. They reached the Red Sea. The Israelites were trapped. "Don't be afraid," Moses said. "God is with us." Then, a miracle happened. God parted the waters of the sea. the Israelites walked through on dry ground. When Pharaoh's army followed, the waters crashed down, drowning them all. The Israelites were free at last. Section 7, Words on Stone. Moses led the Israelites to Mount Sinai. There, God gave them the 10 Commandments. These were rules to live by, rules that would bring them closer to God and to each other. The 10 Commandments were more than laws. They were a promise, a covenant between God and His people. They were a reminder of God's love and a guide for their journey. Section 8. A Promised Land, a Lasting Hope. The journey to the Promised Land was long and difficult. The Israelites faced numerous challenges, from the scorching heat of the desert to the scarcity of food and water. Each step was a test of their endurance and faith. The Israelites complained and doubted. They questioned their path and their leader, wondering if they would ever reach their destination. Their spirits were often low and their faith wavered. But Moses never gave up. He stood firm in his belief and continued to guide his people with unwavering determination. His leadership was a beacon of hope in their darkest moments. He reminded them of God's promises. He spoke of a land flowing with milk and honey, a place where they would find peace and prosperity. His words reignited their hope and strengthened their resolve. He led them with courage and faith. Despite the overwhelming odds, Moses' faith never wavered. He trusted in God's plan and inspired his people to do the same. Moses never entered the Promised Land himself. He stood on the mountain, gazing at the land he had longed for, knowing he had fulfilled his mission. His sacrifice was a testament to his unwavering faith. But his life, his journey, teaches us about the power of faith. It shows us that true leadership is about guiding others to their destiny, even if we don't reach it ourselves. It reminds us that God hears our cries, He sees our struggles. In our moments of doubt and despair, we can find solace in knowing that we are never alone, and He never abandons His people. His presence is a constant source of comfort and strength, guiding us through the trials of life. He leads us, even today, toward a promised land of hope and freedom, a place where our dreams can flourish and our spirits can soar. The journey may be long, but the destination is worth every step.